So what is the Shvil Israel anyway, and why is it so great? Hi everyone, my name is Jo, and I'm the Kosher Ninja. We're planning and preparing my bucket list adventure, which is to hike through Israel from one end to the other on the Israel National Trail later this year. I'm so glad you've stopped by, and while you're here, don't forget to subscribe. But right now, let's talk about the Shvil and why I'm putting myself through this ringer. Like I told you last time, I've had a fascination with Israel since I was 3. It's the place where I learned to love hiking and where I relearned my love of the outdoors. Israelis love the outdoors, and why not? They have a gorgeous country and fabulous weather, and lots of really interesting hiking trails in the area around Ein Gedi and all over the country. Now, my hiking has been limited to the area around Ein Gedi, but that's not so bad because it's a really awesome place. Quite apart from King Saul's near-death washroom experience that we talked about last time, there's something very enchanting about this place. It's a canyon with an oasis at the bottom in the middle of the desert and overlooking the Dead Sea. And there's lots of little pools and waterfalls that you can take a dip in after you've done hiking in the hot desert sun. On my first visit to Israel, I was determined to get to the Dead Sea. But knowing nothing about it, I made arrangements to stay at a youth hostel outside the nature reserve at Ein Gedi. Now, I was a little bit nervous because I'd never stayed at a hostel before, but it was surprisingly clean and comfortable. Nothing at all like the stories you hear from people backpacking through Europe. In the morning, I took the bus to Masada, which turned out to be only about 15 minutes away. I couldn't believe it. I climbed up to the ruins of the ancient fortress, and then I ended up spending the afternoon at the spa floating on the Dead Sea. I even made it back to the nature reserve in time to take the Wadi David hike, which is a short hike that the tourists do, only about an hour or so in and out, but it was magical. I wanted to hike more, but I couldn't think of any opportunities like that back home, so I knew right away that I wanted to hike more in Israel. Since then, I've hiked a lot of the other trails in and around Ein Gedi, and I even spent a birthday chilling in a pool at the end of a wadi. At home, it would have been cold, rainy, dismal, and miserable, maybe even snowing. It's not just Ein Gedi. There are amazing hiking trails all over Israel, just not enough time or opportunity for me to do them. And that's where Avraham Tamir comes in. Now, Abe, can I call him Abe? Let's call him Abe. Abe was an Israeli fellow, and in the early 1970s, he was actually in the US, through hiking the Appalachian Trail. And if you don't know what the Appalachian Trail is, be sure to check out my first video, and I'll put a link in the panel below. Abe was inspired by his experience on the AT, and he decided that despite all the trails and nature reserves that already existed in Israel, something like this was needed. An epic trail that connected the whole country, so you could hike from one end to the other non-stop. He approached the Society for the Protection of Nature in Israel, and once he got the SPNI on board, the work got started in 1985. Abe died a couple of years later, so he never got to see the finished Shvil, but it was officially opened by President Ezer Weizman in 1995. As of September 2018, it officially measured 1,028 kilometers. That changes from time to time, though, because of construction or for security concerns, and who knows why. I even found out recently that it actually depends on the GPS you're using. Go figure. In any event, it consistently measures a little bit over 1,000 kilometers. Since it opened, the Shvil has been named one of the top 20 most epic hikes in the world by National Geographic, and it's also become kind of a rite of passage for Israeli young people. When Israelis finish their compulsory military service, there are 3 things that are kind of the thing to do. Some people go to India in search of spiritual enlightenment. And that one kind of mystifies me because there's so much spiritual heritage in Israel. But it just goes to show that we're all searching for meaning. Others go to Brazil in search of more worldly pursuits, and others stay home and hike the Shvil or a part of it, like my friend's son did when he hiked the northern part. Or maybe it was the southern. Anyways, for a month. Each year, thousands of people from the very young to the, shall I say, older, hike day hikes or sections along the Shvil. Even though thousands of people touch the trail, there are no precise statistics, but it's estimated that only about 1,500 or just over actually try to thru-hike the whole trail. And for those, the completion rate is in the 40 to 50% range. By comparison, each year about 4,000 to 5,000 people try to thru-hike the Appalachian Trail, and about 1,200 complete the thru-hike. So almost as many people as actually start the Shvil. Comparisons are difficult because of differences in size and geography of the trails, but there's definitely room for more people to get on board the Shvil. So who are these people thru-hiking the Shvil? As far as I can tell, they're generally either people in their early 20s, like we talked about, who have just finished their military service, or they're people who are in their 50s or 60s who are looking for some time to reflect or seeking a challenge. As far as foreigners are concerned, the age range probably varies a little more, but by far the vast majority, in fact, almost all of the Shvilistim are Israelis. Only about 250 to 300 tourists travel to Israel with the intention of hiking any part of the Shvil. Depending on your pace, it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to complete the entire trail. Now, if you've never been to Israel, it's such a small country that this takes you through its whole length, from Kibbutz Dan in the north, right to Eilat at the Red Sea in the south. But here's the kicker. The trail isn't even a straight line. As the crow flies, it would be 420 kilometers and take less than half the time. In reality, the Shvil zigzags all over the place. It starts in the mountainous northeast and heads west to the plains and the Mediterranean Sea in the middle. Then it heads back east to the hills around Jerusalem, and then comes back out again to the Negev desert, where it heads south to Eilat at the Red Sea. I love this variety about Israel. We hear so much about Israel in the news. It makes you think it's this giant country. But as you can see, and as I discovered on my first visit, it's tiny and it's jam-packed with so much diversity. There's geography, ethnicity, culture, food, history, religion, language, art, architecture, technology, modern and ancient. I could go on and on. Because Israelis come from all over the world, they bring all their influences with them, and it comes together and makes this great big gigantic baba ganoush. Oh, no, balagan. And it's this stimulating atmosphere that you just can't find anywhere else, and it draws you back, or at least it draws me back, over and over again. I love experiencing the variety that life and nature throw at us, and I hope that my journey will give you a glimpse of some aspects of Israel that we rarely get to see. So as you can see, I have to go hike the Shvil. And while the Shvil doesn't go through Ein Gedi, I will definitely be getting there for some R&R afterwards. But ever since that night of binge-watching YouTube videos I told you about, the Shvil has been calling my name and it won't let go. So if you're as excited as I am about my journey, give me a thumbs up and subscribe below and share this video with your friends. And if you've ever hiked in Israel, in Ein Gedi or on the Shvil, or if you'd like to hike the Shvil, tell me about it in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. I'm so excited to be sharing this journey with you, and I can't wait to see you next time. Until then, thanks for watching, and shalom, eh? Israelis love the outdoors, and just 15 minutes away. I couldn't believe it. And Shadow, go away. No,
Fitzy!
Fitzy, get out. Fitzy.
Fitzy, come on, out. Don't knock
Shadow, out.
And you float on the sea or in the sea? Were you floating on it? Was that a Freudian slip because it's so buoyant? Or were you floating in it?
I think it's both. Like, you float on it, don't you?
I think you float in the sea.
Nature reserve in time to take the
When you say floating on the Dead Sea, it sounds like you're dead. Dead bodies float on the sea. You're floating in the sea.
I wanted to hike more, but I couldn't think of any opportunities like this back home.
Even though we're one of the biggest countries in the world.
Yes! So I knew right away I wanted to hike more in Israel. Not quite sure how Israel is more accessible than hiking at home.
I know.
But
Yeah, so get on a plane and go over there.
I wanted to hike more, but I couldn't.
S'more hiking.
S'mores. He was in the U.S.
I was trying not to sneeze, but I could not.
Be sure to check out my first video. So Abe was inspired by the AT. No.
No, he was not.
He was inspired
He was inspired on the AT.
and about 1,200 make it.
And the rest are lost.
Yeah.
They expire on the trail.
And that's not even the kicker.
The kicker.
The kicker is that sucked.